Greek literary criticism, Socrates, literary theory, and literary criticism. Hello and welcome to the discourse. Greek literary theory is a fascinating area that explores the principles and concepts that shaped ancient Greek literature and its criticism. Greek literary criticism, also known as classical literary criticism, has shaped the way we evaluate and understand literature today. It provides a framework for analyzing texts focusing on aspects such as language, structure, and themes. Classical literary criticism dates back to antiquity when both Greeks and Romans engaged in interpreting and evaluating literary works. This period laid the groundwork for future literary analysis. Greek literary theory emerged with significant contributions from philosophers and playwrights who analyzed the nature of literature and its impact on society. The key figures of Greek literary theory and criticism are Plato and his disciple Aristotle. Plato was a student of Socrates, another important ancient Greek philosopher whose ideas shaped the way towards modern literature. Socrates, while not a literary critic in the traditional sense, had a profound influence on the development of literary criticism through his philosophical inquiries and dialogues. The key concept of Greek literary theory include mimesis, the idea of imitation, where literature reflects reality. Plato and Aristotle had differing views on mimesis, with Plato often critiquing it for being a mere copy of the real world, while Aristotle saw it as a means of understanding human experience. Plato critiqued poetry and its moral implications, arguing that it could mislead people by appealing to emotions rather than reason. Greek theorists categorized literature into genres such as epic, tragedy, and comedy, each with its own conventions and purposes. Aristotle introduced the idea of catharsis in his work Poetics. The concept of catharsis refers to the emotional release that audiences experience through tragedy, allowing them to purge their emotions. Aristotle provided a systematic analysis of poetry and drama, emphasizing the importance of plot, character, and theme in his works. Aristotle's rhetoric explores persuasive language and its effects. The ideas formulated by Greek critics have influenced not only Western literature but also the broader field of literary theory. Their discussions on rhetoric, poetics, and aesthetics continue to resonate in modern literary studies. Greek literary criticism is not just a historical subject, it remains relevant as it provides tools for understanding the complexities of literature. Ancient Greek critics engaged in the analysis and evaluation of texts, focusing on their artistic qualities and moral messages. Greek literary theory has had a lasting impact on Western literature and criticism, influencing countless writers and theorists throughout history. Socrates. Socrates is often credited as the founder of Greek philosophy, and in a sense, he can be considered as the progenitor of literary theory and criticism too. Socrates authored no known texts and is known mainly through his posthumous accounts of classical writers, particularly his students Plato and Xenophon. Plato's student Aristotle too wrote at length about Socrates and his ideas. In his Metaphysics, Aristotle mentions that while pre-Socratic philosophy had only been theoretical and concerned with natural science, Socrates turned the waves and delved his thoughts on understanding human nature and life. In 399 BC, Socrates was formally accused of corrupting the minds of the youths of Athens and of impiety, that is, worshipping false gods and failing to worship the gods of Athens, and then he was punished by death. Socratic method. Socrates is best known for his Socratic method, a form of cooperative argumentative dialogue that stimulates critical thinking. This method encourages questioning and examining beliefs, which can be applied to literary texts to uncover deeper meanings and assumptions. Socrates believed that written words cannot effectively teach anything worth knowing because they cannot defend themselves in dialogue. He thought that reading words is similar to looking at a lake instead of swimming in it. Socrates believed that the meaning of some words, such as justice and soul, is a convention for using the word, not the essence of the thing it names. The Socratic method is a style of teaching that involves asking questions to help students arrive at their own understanding. The Socratic method is a form of argumentative dialogue that involves asking and answering questions to stimulate critical thinking and illuminate ideas. It encourages participants to explore complex concepts and beliefs through discussion. The method relies heavily on asking probing questions that challenge assumptions and encourage deeper reflection. It is a collaborative process where both the questioner and the respondent engage in a back and forth exchange, often leading to new insights. The goal is to foster critical thinking skills, helping individuals to analyze their beliefs and the reasoning behind them. The Socratic method encourages a dialogue between readers and texts, where questions are posed to explore themes, characters, and narrative techniques. This method allows for a deeper understanding of the text by examining various interpretations. By asking probing questions, participants can challenge their assumptions about a literary work. For example, one might ask, what is the author's intention? Or how does the character's journey reflect societal values? This critical inquiry helps uncover layers of meaning. Let us take an example of Shakespeare's Hamlet. A Socratic discussion might begin with a question, what do we think is the main theme of Hamlet? The respondent may answer, it is about revenge. Hamlet wants to avenge his father's death. The inquirer may ask further, is it really just about revenge? What else might be driving Hamlet's actions? Another respondent may say, maybe it is about grief and loss. He is really struggling with his father's death. The inquirer may further ask, how does Hamlet's grief manifest itself? Is it just sadness or is there something else going on? The third respondent may point out, Hamlet is very introspective. He seems to be questioning the meaning of life and death. The inquirer will agree and may pose a new question. What specific lines or scenes support this idea of existential questioning? The fourth respondent may add, the famous to be or not to be soliloquy is all about that, isn't it? The inquirer will obviously agree and may ask further questions. Absolutely. And what does that soliloquy tell us about Hamlet's character? Is he simply depressed or is there something more complex at play? This back and forth questioning continues, exploring the play's themes, characters, and language with increasing depth. The inquirer is not offering answers, rather, he is guiding the respondents to uncover their own interpretations through critical thinking and dialogue. Socratic views on poetry. In Plato's dialogues, particularly in the Republic, Socrates critiques poetry and its role in society. He argues that poetry can mislead people by appealing to emotions rather than reason. This perspective raises important questions about the purpose and value of literature. Socrates believed that literature should promote virtue and moral understanding. He often questioned the ethical implications of characters and actions in stories, suggesting that literature should contribute to the moral development of individuals. This idea was further explored by later literary critics, including Sir Philip Sidney and William Wordsworth. Socrates' ideas significantly influenced his student Plato, who further developed these concepts in his own works. Plato's exploration of literary forms and their impact on society laid the groundwork for future literary criticism. So this is it for today. We will continue to discuss literary criticism and will further discuss classical literary critics. Please stay connected with the discourse. Thanks and regards.